Do you remember as a kid asking your grandma for some cool Pokemon toys, and then she comes over and you get all excited and then she gives you something like this? Or maybe she gave you something like this. Or God forbid, she gave you something like this. Pokemon knockoff toys have existed for as long as Pokemon has, but our artist today, Toybox Project, has created an entire Fakemon region based on these Pokemon knockoff toys. And I gotta tell you, they are one of the most creative Fakemon artists I've ever spoken to because some of their ideas are just amazing. So let's jump in and check out the Toybox Project. Starting off with our new Bulbasaur line. So Bulbasaur here is now a grass and flying type Pokemon. And we can see we've got our Bulbasaur and our Ivysaur. Instead of Venusaur, we have Miasmasaur, which actually changes to a poison and flying type Pokemon. So we can see it's obviously based on Bulbasaur, has a lot of similarities, but I think that blue stripes as well as the green in the bulb is the main difference here. But instead of opening up as a plant, it's actually based on a hot air balloon now. And we can see in the Miasma, there's got like some clouds on the top of it as well, and a bit of a crown design around the bottom of the balloon. But if we have a look at our Toybox inspiration, here is our knockoff Bulbasaur. So the yellow spots definitely make it look kind of sickly, but I think the main difference here is the blue and green stripes with that bulb, which we can see was the main inspiration for this design here. Next, we have the Charmander line, and I think this looks absolutely amazing. Again, Charmander and Charmeleon, but a different evolution. Our final evolution is now called Charlong. It starts as a fire and fairy type for Charmander and Charmeleon, but then becomes a dragon and fairy type. Now, this is based on Chinese dragons, and I absolutely love the blue flames that it's got, but that little ball is actually based on bubblegum, so the coloring, I think, really works with that, especially with the pink in there as well. But our inspiration, I think, is very, very creepy. Something has gone terribly wrong with this Charmander. It hardly looks like a Charmander at all. I do really like that they've changed the red flame to being a blue flame. I think that really just works for the story of this Pokemon here. But whatever you do, don't zoom in on the crotch. Then next we have our Hoothoot line. So we have Hoothoot and Noctowl, but then we have a brand new evolution in Noctursa. So it's dark and flying for the first two, and then the final evolution becomes dark and ground type. And I absolutely love the very bushy, wild kind of look for this line here. And then the final evolution is now based on an owlbear, which I think is just a phenomenal idea. And our inspiration here doesn't look too bad, really. I think it can pass as a Noctowl, but definitely not like an official design. Are we sort of getting the idea of how this is going to work? Then next we have Seel, the fighting type, but then Jugongion, which is now a fighting and rock type. So we can see that we've got a big black eye over that Seel now, but then that tail, almost like a boxing glove, but it's like a rocky boxing glove because this is based on boxing champions. We can see with the gloves and the belt as well, looking really, really cool. Now, the Seel toy doesn't look that bad, actually, but the entire story for this Pokemon came from the black eye that it's holding, which we can definitely see in the Seel as well. So this is what I mean about the artist being so creative. Just a little small minor detail in the toy, but creates an entire backstory for the Pokemon that I think just works really, really well. I absolutely love the Diglett version here though, but then it has a new evolution in Dugtroup. So these are ground and grass type Pokemon, obviously based on carrots. But I love that the Dugtroup actually has a whole army behind them. There's actually 5 in total there, all with the little carrot top heads, which is very cute. Now this Diglett, I think, gave inspiration to the actual Wiglet that came about. It looks like it's got water at the bottom there, and it's definitely yellow and kind of elongated. Doesn't really match Diglett at all, but we could see, especially in the final evolution, that shape with the eye there. Almost kind of looks like it's been in a fight. Next is our Mareep and Flaffy and Ampharos here. Now, they are all electric and dark type Pokemon. Obviously got our black sheep inspiration here, which I think looks really cool. Kind of makes it a bit sinister looking, and I think even the horns on Ampharos definitely give it a very sinister kind of look here. Now, I don't know about this toy. I cannot imagine this was meant to pass as a Mareep at all. This just looks like a random sheep toy, I think. But the blue coloring with the face, but then the black wool, I think has turned into an awesome looking Pokemon. I'm a big fan of Cubone and Marowak, and the ice typing here I think could work really, really well, having like an ice skull shape, almost kind of like an ice cube, I guess, around the face for Cubone and Marowak here. And we can see that instead of the bone, it's got like a big jagged ice spear. But I think compared to our toy that we have here, I think it makes a lot of sense to make it an ice type. That blue coloring definitely looks very, very icy here. I do love that they've had like a little horn as well. That makes it really cool. Next, we have our Chimchar line, which are all electric and fighting type Pokemon. Now, this is based on Zeus, as we can see with like the electrical designs here, especially on the tails and the head of these Pokemon, which is really, really nice. And this Chimchar toy is very wonky. Oh my god, something has gone very, very wrong in the production of that. The coloring isn't even the worst thing, it's the eyes. And the artist has done the noble thing and protected poor Chimchar's eyes, looking very normal because it could have been all kinds of sideways. Next, we have our Drowzee and a new evolution in Baku. So these are Ghost and then a Ghost and Dark type Pokemon. The mane on Baku, almost having like ghostly spirits flying off it, is such a cool design. This actually looks really, really scary now. I think it's the eyes, but also those tusks. It's always broken off on the Drowzee as well. Really cool look. You know, this is based on Baku, which is the Japanese yokai, which is what Drowzee is based on, but also combines nightmares as well. Here is our toy. Not too bad, really. Definitely a knockoff. I think, again, the coloring. A lot of these toys, it's the coloring that makes the big difference here. But again, some amazing creativity to come up with a cool Pokemon. And I think even just that little smudge on the forehead has become like an important part of the design, which is really nice. Then next we have Squirtle to finalize our Kanto trio. So Squirtle and Wartortle are water and rock type Pokemon, but then in a new evolution we have Taratoise, which is now a dark and rock type Pokemon. Now this is based off the Tarrasque, which is from French mythology, but also based off swamp creatures as well. I think the sort of mossy, kelpy look coming off the head and the beard for the final evolution, and the tail as well, definitely has that very swampy kind of look. Poor Squirtle kind of looks like a Psyduck here in the way that it's holding its head. But we can see here, I guess that makes sense why it's holding its head. We can see in that toy there that it looks like it's in pain, or maybe it's using withdraw or something like that. But that marking across the face has given the inspiration for the coloring choices here, which was maybe what inspired the swamp creature kind of look. Speaking of swamp monsters, Sandshrew and Sandslash are next, and they are both pure poison type Pokemon. Definitely got that acidic, oozy kind of look over their entire body. Sandshrew looks kind of sad, actually, but completely covered in that poison. But I do love that Sandslash on the end of those claws has got like that purple toxic kind of look, which is really nice. And is that meant to be like a shiny Sandshrew toy? Maybe? I'm not sure, but I can definitely see the radioactive look there, giving it its poison typing for sure. Then the Piplup line is very, very interesting. It's a fighting type Pokemon, but then becomes fighting and steel when it evolves into Empoleon. Now, this is based on the Iron Mask, which we can definitely see in our Empoleon there. Now, the coloring is really cool here. The blues and the reddy oranges work together really, really well. It's almost got like a primal barbarian kind of look to it. And because with Empoleon, it's got like a big sword or a spear and a shield on its arms, as well as that helmet. And that's what gives it its coloring. This Piplup is, again, gone very, very wrong. Normally the light blues that we see in Piplup are not here at all. I don't know where the oranges came from. Oh, I absolutely love this Geodude line. Oh my goodness. So we've got Geodude and Graveler, and then we have Rocketane, and these are all rock and water type Pokemon. I'm a massive fan of Donkey Kong and King K. Rool, and Rocketane definitely is inspired by King K. Rool. I absolutely love that. We've got a very large eye on all of them, which King K. Rool has, so having that little pirate hat just works perfectly. And the inspiration here, oh my god, this poor Graveler. Look at these eyes, those wonky eyes. It's really interesting though. Instead of holding a big boulder, which I think that's meant to be, it's turned it into a hat instead, which works out really, really well. Then next we have Tangela and Tangrowth, which is a normal type and then a normal and ghost type when it evolves. And it's obviously based on a ball of yarn. We've got a button, we've got some knitting needles in there as well. Really, really cool look. But Tangrowth has a whole bunch of eyes actually. Where the eyes normally are, they have buttons and then eyes throughout it, which I think is a really cool look and kind of creepy actually. So the inspiration for this, again, is mainly the coloring that has completely changed it. Instead of our blues I would see for Tangela has become white, so it makes sense to make it into yarn. Oh, a very different look here for our Pikachu line. So we actually have 3 new Pokemon. We have Pichu, but with an E, not an I, Rockachu, and then Orichu, all are pure rock type Pokemon. Obviously looking incredibly rocky, but almost having like those jade stones throughout the eyes, the ears, and the tips of the tail, but then becoming a pickaxe in our final evolution of Orichu, which is a really, really cool idea. And our inspiration for this is just a straight up chocolatey brown Pikachu. It's almost like they tried to take the shiny coloring of a Alolan Raichu, but then put it in a Pikachu. I am not sure. The actual plushie looks okay, just not the coloring. The coloring is completely off. Next, we have Drilbur, but then we have Snoxdrill as our evolution instead of Excadrill. So Ice type and then an Ice and Steel type Pokemon. I almost feel Snoxdrill should have been the name of the first evolution because it's got that big snotty look like we see in Cubchoo. But I love that it's frozen and almost become like a goggle and helmets for our final evolution there. We can see those big, big claws as well. Inspired, of course, by a major color change. It's all white. It's almost like it's been bleached or something like that. I'm not sure why. Then next we have Joltik and Galvantula, which are both bug and psychic type Pokemon. So the coloring is a major difference here. I kind of like that coloring actually. I think it fits more of like a ghost typing, but kind of has like a bit of a psychedelic kind of look to it. I think also with the swirls on the back of Galvantula would work for something like that. But that kind of minty color is quite nice. Our inspirations, yeah, okay, as we can see, the complete color change on our Joltik. Not even close to what Joltik looks like really. Oh, I really like this design. That final evolution is so cool. Okay, we have new ones here. So Bellsprout, grass and ground type Pokemon, actually evolves into Twin Bell. As we can see, we've got an extra head on the Bellsprout there. And then evolves into Behemoth, which is our final evolution. So very, very different to Weeping Bell and Victory Bell. And I'm going to say that I prefer these designs. I think this looks amazing. I think the thorns throughout of it and the very angry look that it has, I think is such a cool idea. This is based on a Hydra, of course, giving it its 3 heads. Now the toy for this isn't all that bad really. I know that Bellsprout has little roots as legs. It almost looks like this Bellsprout has been planted into a pot instead of being able to move around, which kind of works for the design because they are sort of submerged in the earth as well. Next, Electrike and Manectric, both rock and electric type Pokemon. And this is really interesting. It's got a bit of a wild dog or maybe even like a hyena kind of look here, I think. I think the tongue hanging out and those horns as well. Really, really interesting look. And that tail becoming rocky and almost like this rocky spine look on the back as well of Manectric. But the toy for this design, I think, is horrible. If you gave a child this toy, you're just giving them brown sadness. I think it's just a terrible looking toy. Pokemon or not, this is not something you should give a child. This Pokemon is also the first fossil Pokemon of the region as well. Oh, this Swellow design is really different. Oh, it's on like a big totem pole, which I think is really cool. This is a fighting and flying type Pokemon now. And yeah, the inspiration here, I guess standing on like some kind of tree stump or something like that. But making it into a totem pole is really, really cool. Looking closely now, the totem pole look like Pokemon. This definitely looks like a Darmanitan. And this has to be a Nidoking. And I think this middle one might be like an Ursaluna, maybe? That is really cool. I like that a lot. I think the orange coloring, which we don't see in the toy, but the orange coloring on the Swellow looks really, really nice. Ooh, I love this. I love it. This is so good. So Golbat is a poison and ghost type and evolves into Golbat, but the green spectral wings and the whole thing being like a giant skeleton. It's like a whole skeleton, but still has the trademark giant tongue, which is super cool. And of course, big color change, which is the main inspiration here. The white with the bright greens is definitely not what we see in Crobat, but is made for an awesome Fakemon here. I love that the little horns have become green as well, which we don't see in the design here. Then next we have our second fossil Pokemon for the region. We have our Surskit and our Masquerain, which are both rock and bug type Pokemon. I really like the look on the Masquerain. Like it looks like those wings or antennas or whatever coming together would look like a giant jaw with teeth, which I think looks really, really nice. Now the inspiration, oh, this is like the same as the other fossil Pokemon. Giving this to a child is just telling them that you hate them. Then next we have our Turtwig line. So Turtwig and Grottle are pure poison types, but then becomes poison and steel type when it becomes Torterra. We can definitely see that steel element coming in. The bottom of the jaw, the back, the tree is all looking like it's made of steel, but emitting those poisonous gases as well. So the whole line definitely based on pollution. Turtwig does look very happy though, which is kind of cute. And okay, similar to what we saw with our Sandshrew, looking very radioactive. The bright green. He does look very happy, which I do love. Oh, and I also just noticed here that the leaves up here are like little brown leaves, which are really nice. That's a cool touch. Next is the Cyndaquil line, which are all fire and poison type Pokemon. Still having that fiery tail that we see with the line, but the poison coming off the back and kind of like the head as well. Almost like a bit of a poisonous gas mane coming off here. But it's got like a really large bump on its head here. I guess there's a bump on the other two as well, but it really just expands with the final evolution. And okay, that's why. It's like it's got like a poisonous scab or something on the front of that poor Cyndaquil there. And we can see the coloring with the green. Not quite what we would normally see in Cyndaquil, so we'll kind of turn that into a poisonous element here, which I think works really well. Then next we have Purrloin and Liepard, which are dark and psychic type Pokemon. And this looks insane. These look so evil. It almost looks like something out of Stranger Things, and that's because it's based on a Displacer beast from D&D with those two massive tentacles with spikes on them coming out. Looks really, really cool, especially on the Liepard there. Now, the inspiration for this is the Liepard toy, which doesn't have those big tentacles coming out, but I think with the tail kind of being attached in the design here, we can definitely see something funky going on. But again, the coloring, the whole merging together, because it's meant to be lying down, but it's not a very well done toy, it definitely looks like just a big blob, so I'm not sure about that. Oh my god, what has happened to this Gengar? It's like a Gengar merged with a Mega Mind or something like that. I'm not sure. Oh my god. It's got a massive tongue, obviously that massive brain, but it's got like a big spiky part over the top of it as well. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe that's coming from the brain, but it does have very crazy looking eyes. This is a ghost and psychic type Pokemon, and oh my god. Okay, I wasn't expecting something like that. This is actually a plushie. So this is being stretched, or I don't know what's happened there. I think I want this plushie actually. I think it would look great on my shelves of Pokemon toys. Oh my god. Oh, okay. Now we've got a Medusa inspiration with our Misdreavus, and it evolves into Medusa now. This is a ghost and poison type Pokemon. This looks awesome. I love this, especially the Medusa with those snakes coming off, and the coloring looks really nice. And also the head is displaced from the body, which is really interesting. Now the inspiration for this is again mainly based on the coloring, but having the green body with the purple tendrils on the end just works amazingly for this Pokemon. I love this one a lot actually. This also has an alternative one where it's lost the body and now it's just a giant floating head with snakes coming off it as well. Then next, our Jigglypuff line is very different. These are electric and fairy type Pokemon now. Almost look like punk rockers with their mohawks, but it's also got a bit of a David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust inspiration there as well. I love that. We've got a lightning bolt on its head here. Harry Potter, right? It's looking angry as well. I love that. It's so cool. What is that even meant to be? I'm not sure if that's meant to be a Jigglypuff or a Wigglytuff, or if they've almost merged 3 different Pokemon together. What are they trying to pass that off as here? Or maybe it's not even meant to be a Pokemon. Maybe it's just someone stole a Pokemon design and made their own toy. Then next we have Kadabra, the fighting type, and it evolves into Onizan, which is a fighting and dark type. Now this is based off an Oni mask, and I love this. It's looking so good. It's not like a very intelligent look like we see with Kadabra normally. Now it's almost more primal in a way and uses this giant stick to beat people. Whoa, what is that? What happened to that Pokemon toy? That Pokemon toy almost looks like it's merged with Cthulhu or something like that, with the tendrils coming down. The mustache is completely gone. Where did that red come from? I don't even know. Then next we have a new evolution line in Herumaka Hermanitan standard mode and Hermanitan panic mode. So this is obviously kind of like our Darumaka line here. So it's a rock type but becomes rock and poison in its panic mode. So this Pokemon is based off the octopus and on sea slugs. It looks like it's confined to a rocky boulder, but then has tentacles that are coming out of that. But it's using the rock as protection, which I think is really nice. Now I don't know what's going on with this toy, but it doesn't even have eyes, and it really just does look like a ball with legs coming out of it. We can definitely see why it was turned into an octopus coming out of a boulder. Next we have Cranidos and Rampardos, which are both rock and electric type Pokemon. Now this is combining light bulbs, as we can definitely see the light bulb on the top of their head there, on the top of the skull, but also merged with Frankenstein's monster. We've got all the bolts coming out through the tail and the legs and the horns and stuff as well. This poor Rampardos, what is going on here? Like, the coloring is completely off. We can definitely see that yellow collar around the neck here is part of our Pokemon as well. It's kind of like bolted in here as well. Whoa, I absolutely love this Wailord design. It's like turned into a ship. But it's like a ghostly ship. We've got like spectral ghost coming out of it here. We've got a golden tooth, kind of like a pirate ship design here. This is based on the Flying Dutchman, actually, to be more specific, or a ghost ship. This is amazing. It is a water and ghost type Pokemon. So we've got like a little anchor coming off the tail as well. The inspiration, I don't even know if this is meant to be a Wailord or if it's just some kind of glow in the dark toy. But what it was turned into is phenomenal. Then next we have a new Pokemon, which is Grotesque, obviously based on a Skiddo or a Gogoat, but we've got some really thorny vines making up this Pokemon. You see the legs and the tail, but I think the really weird part is its face. It definitely looks like a Demogorgon, and that would open up into something very, very creepy. And yeah, there's the face. That is a very munted looking face on that Gogoat there. Oh my god. Oh, I think this looks really cool too. This is now our Primeape and Annihilape as a fighting and fire type Pokemon. So still fighting, we've still got those gloves and everything, but flames coming off the end. That flame headband on Primeape looks really, really nice, but it's just an entire ball of fairy fire over here with Annihilape. But the tusks are really nice. I do like the tusks. Now, the inspiration here is looking very orangey red. We can see why it was a fire type. I think the artist was, again, very kind and didn't give it really derpy eyes. As we can see here, those eyes could have been all kinds of sideways again. Then next we have Snivy, Servine, and Servapin, which are now all grass and dark type Pokemon. So kind of looking like a gangster in a way. I think it's got like a mustache and it's got that hat. I think looking like a gangster, especially with that dark typing, works really well. But the inspiration for this, I think, is really interesting. I'm not sure what's happening with the massive tail. It's actually leaning on that tail because it's the leaf is so big. It almost looked like all the dots along here could have made like an unshaven look, which I think would have looked really nice on the Servine here, being like an unshaven beard to go with that mustache. But either way, this Pokemon looks fantastic. Our Torchic line becomes Blazerlisk as a final evolution instead of Blaziken, but the entire line are fire and ground type Pokemon. Having this sort of like dust tornado kind of look does remind me of Sandaconda a little bit. Now this inspiration, I think the main thing that sticks out to me is the beak. Is that even meant to be a beak? Is it meant to be like a snout or something? Almost like an elephant? I'm not sure. Then next we have Colbird, which is obviously inspired by a Delibird, but looks like it's got a roly-coly in the sack. This is almost like the opposite of Delibird, which delivers presents. This is the one that delivers coal. So this is based on Krampus, but also on Santa Claus delivering coal to naughty kids as well. Now, I think we can definitely see why we have an evil look for Delibird. This can't possibly be Delibird. This is completely different. It doesn't look friendly and nice and Christmassy, and the colors are completely off. It doesn't even have a sack, I don't think that's meant to be a sack. I'm not sure. And then next we have new Slowpoke forms. We have Slowpoke, Slowbro, and Slowking. So it starts off as a Psychic and Normal type, but then becomes Psychic and Bug type as Slowbro, and Psychic and Grass type as Slowking. So this looks incredible. It almost looks like it's covered in honey in the original evolution. Over here, it looks like it's developed massive claws, pincers being that Bug type, which looks really cool. I don't mind that. I like that like the whole body's being lifted up, almost like a Dr. Octopus kind of look, how Dr. Octopus uses the mechanical legs to move around and it's lifting its body up. That looks really cool. But oh my god, this Slowking is the thing of nightmares. This is actually based off the clicker off The Last of Us, but those eyes all the way out there really looks like it is in pain and it is suffering and it just wants to be ended. That is really, really creepy. Now looking at the Pokemon, it kind of makes sense. I can see what's happened here. Obviously we've got our Paris, which on its own looks terrible, but to have that next to this kind of Slowking with the same color scheme, the eyes are all over the place. It definitely looks like the Paris has taken over, almost like a parasite, onto this Slowking here. It really looks like it's in pain. Wow. I have absolutely loved going through the Toybox Project, and I hope you guys have too. These are some of my favorite Pokemon, and comment yours down below as well. Thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next one.